Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, the Universe Listens. As a very young person, I always felt that I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders, having to make grown-up decisions in order to survive a life marked with physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. While my face was smiling on the outside, on the inside, I always secretly cried and felt miserable. However, over the years, I learned some gems that helped to turn my life around. I now get to live the life of my dreams, filled with love, travel, and wonderment. And I am absolutely passionate about sharing what I have learned with you. If you want to live your best life, tune in each week as I, along with some amazing guests, share these life-changing gems with you. Inspired to be more, do more, have more. Greetings and welcome to Speak, the Universe Listens. And today's topic is It Takes a Village. And I have Deborah joining me. How are you, Deborah?
Hi, Arvette. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I don't know if you can tell. I'm actually sitting in my car, sitting in a parking lot, having this call with you, but I got to do what I got to do.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, you look great. You're practicing social distancing.
Yes.
So I'm glad you're healthy and safe. That's all
Yes,
that matters.
thank you. Yeah, so you've been well?
Yes, I
Okay,
have. Been
good.
staying well. Yep, staying at home, working from home, and now we're doing our podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it takes a village. So I guess this topic is kind of centered around the whole idea of us taking steps to shift from what we've always known, how we've always thought about things, what we've been taught. And then we're like trying to shift into a mindset that will allow us to live bigger and fuller and happier lives. And so, how does It Takes a Village play into this?
Well, one of the main ideas when it comes to shifting yourself, like shifting your average frame of mind to something different so that you can become something different, and get to the place where you've always dreamt you want it to be, or that you could be. For me, starts with just visualizing it, visualizing the person that you want to be. And before you know it, when you're working towards it through visualization, you start to kind of become what you're constantly thinking, right?
Yeah.
So in this particular case, we're talking about something we want that's going to be fulfilling. So subconsciously, our attitude, what we say, how we respond starts to shift. And I really think that shift allows people that will be supportive of us to come into place, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense. So I guess you're basically saying, as we change, we'll start automatically drawing people to us who are changing as well, who are, I guess, along our same vibration.
Right. And then that becomes our tribe, right?
Yeah.
That kind of becomes the people that help continue our efforts, along our journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that how the process worked for you?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I would maybe think of someone that I looked up to, or meet someone and then find myself saying, I really like that about her. And then I started thinking of, well, how can I not necessarily become that person, but like maybe create myself in an image that reflects what I like, what I've seen in others, and in a way that is allowing me to grow and step into a better version of myself. So yeah, I just start thinking about it. I start visualizing and wondering, who's Deborah going to be in a year or by next week, if she did and spoke this way and thought this way, stepping out of the old and into the new. So yes, and I realized kind of later that the less effort I put into the process, the easier the flow became.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did I draw people in my life that were going to be supportive, but people that weren't going to be supportive just started to fall away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how the process started for me.
Oh,
What
that's
about for you?
awesome. So for me, I actually just dove into this whole arena kind of by myself. And I didn't know anyone who was doing what I was doing, thinking like I was thinking, feeling like I was feeling. So I didn't know anyone who was doing that. And so luckily my husband, he just listens to everything I say. Like he's just a great listener. And so he would just listen and he would not offer, I guess, a pushback with it. He really didn't offer anything, but because he didn't reject it, that made it okay to keep moving forward. And he just listened intently. And I eventually found out that he would actually implement stuff that I was saying. So I'm talking about things, right? He's implementing.
Wow.
So he actually started having success in the principles before I did because he just instantly went into implementation stage. And so it's kind of like he was testing out, like, okay, I don't know about this stuff she's talking about. Let me just try it. And so he started testing things out and he's like, oh, this works. And I'm still in the talking about it stage. However, I had a friend who she was she started dabbling in I forget the exact thing it was, but she was dabbling in like a one of the African religions, and a lot of the stuff overlaps. And so we started like emailing each other, and we email each other just like with our understanding at that point. Like, this is what we're understanding, and this is how I'm conceptualizing it. And then just the back and forth helped each of us to, I guess, formalize our own understanding of the principles. And,
Right.
and we always laugh because we did so much back and forth, texting. I mean, not texting. Back then it was emailing. We did so much back and forth emailing. We're like, we have a book here.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good even to have just have my husband who didn't disapprove, and then to have a friend who was kind of delving in her own search for things, and where we
Yeah.
overlapped, we
Right.
were able to really talk about it.
Yeah. That was your tribe.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was your support system.
Mhm.
That's really neat. Yeah, I thought about that too. I have there's so many, when I look for people to be in my life to support me, I'm looking for strong women because I'm a strong woman. So, you want women in your life that don't look at you as a threat. They look at you as like, um, they want to encourage you. They want your encouragement. It's like, um, just back and forth with support and encouragement and love and respect and that kind of thing. So I have my sisters, of course, my mom, my girlfriends, and we do Marco Polo. So you're talking about emailing. We do Marco Polo often enough for where I feel like we have a short film that we could send to Netflix and about our lives and our journey on, us trying to better each other and better ourselves and help each other see the visions that we're wanting, that each of us want to see. But men as well are important in my circle. They serve as like you said, your husband being a good listener, so they serve that purpose in my life too, listening and you know even without having something to say, just kind of being there. And of course, that whole protection measure that I think the men give off, and it's not protection in a way that, you know, you need to protect someone because they can't protect themselves. It's more of the protection that I feel from the men in my life, that they're doing that because they see my value. You know what I mean? Or like the value of women, to protect them in that way. But yeah, all of those things are important for your support system. Yeah.
Definitely. So I think it was Napoleon Hill who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. And he actually, I guess, popularized the term the Mastermind Group.
Mm.
Because when he researched, like, I forget how many people, but he researched maybe like 100 or maybe 500 of the wealthiest people, and most successful people during his time. And so he found out that what was common amongst most of them is that they all had what he calls a mastermind group. So it was at least, the group is at least one other person. So anytime two or more people come together. And so they're coming together for the sole purpose of, as you say, supporting each other, helping you get to the next level and that type of thing. And so they were able to bounce ideals off of each other. And the thing about that he talked about with the mastermind group is how important it is to have someone who believes in you, who believes in you beyond what you believe in yourself.
Wow.
Or when your belief is low,
Mm-hmm.
they can buoy you. So he
Wow.
talks a lot about that. And that is just so true. Like the power of someone else believing in you, especially when you're a little shaky. Like, I think I'm going to, because, you know, the stuff we're talking about, I think it goes against some of the things that we've been taught in life, but it's in line with what we feel on the inside. So it's
Right.
like you can feel the realness of it and the truth of it, but it takes a little bit of courage in the beginning to do something different from what everyone else is doing.
Yes. So true. So beautifully said. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Cool.
And so one thing I like the whole concept of elevating someone else. Like when you are, you know, like, because sometimes if you're not feeling sure of yourself, or um, even when you kind of know intellectually certain things, but then you forget because you're in the habit of doing things a certain way. So, for example, this is a good example because this just happened to me today. So, sometimes I can get frustrated if things aren't going the way I want them to go. I'll get frustrated. And I know intellectually that the vibration of frustration is going to cause more frustration and it's not going to help the situation at all.
Right.
Yet I still will continue to be frustrated. And so I often say, okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this.
Right. Right.
Keep talking about it, knowing that the more I talk about it, the more I'm keeping it locked in place. And
Right.
so, like, for me, it's a good time when a person would be able to say, just remind me, like, okay, are you conscious of what you're saying? Are you conscious that you just keep saying the same thing and that's why it's keep happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. That is so true. Yep. To know within yourself something different than, you know, is happening outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that what you mentioned is important because we, you know, like you said, if you're with another person that's encouraging you and that's thinking along the same lines that you are, it just lifts your vibration even more, and, you know, accelerates the process. So it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So when I probably was like maybe 23, 24 years old. I used to clean banks. and I had a lot of jobs because I cleaned banks. I was a cashier I did everything at McDonald's, cashier, cook, all that at McDonald's. I cleaned one of my professors' houses once a week, and I worked in the mailroom. So I had 4 jobs. I usually will always have between 3 and 4 jobs at a time. But the cleaning of the banks, um, we had our own section that we had to clean every day. And there was a teacher who was unemployed, and she lived in her car. And so she worked in the section right across from mine. And so she would come to my section every single day. And every single day she would say, I need you to tell me something good, and I need you to tell me a way to make some money. So every day I knew she was going to ask me those 2 questions. So every day I'm always thinking, what's something good? What's something good? And how can I make some money? And so it was like just the process of knowing that someone was going to be holding me to a higher standard that day. That's what was the balance of my thoughts all day long. Like, what's something good and how can I make money? You know?
Wow.
But
Yeah.
your support group can come from anywhere.
Yeah, yep. That's an important thing to remember as well. Because ideally or typically you'll have a certain image, right, of your support group, your support team. And sometimes you'll feel that they have to be certain people, like maybe family members, parents. But yeah, they can come in any form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like when you're stepping outside of the norm, it probably is not going to be the people who are closest to you, because they were attracted to you because of who you are now. So it's probably not going to be that group of people, and they may even have resistance to you changing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why I feel like the visualization piece for me was most important, um, because it allowed me to just focus on what I was wanting to become, where I wanted to see myself. So then I didn't necessarily have to concern myself with who was going to be a part of that support team, because I was kind of already living in it. I felt like they came, or I gravitated towards them, or they gravitated towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And then those that weren't, somehow they got a new job and they moved away, or they just
Yeah.
disappeared. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So I just want to, I guess in general, just encourage people to find another person, at least one other person. But if you can get a group of people together who are all kind of thinking in the same way, it really helps you take the steps that you want to take to live your best life. But it also, when you're not feeling like taking the steps, these people can hold you accountable for taking steps, help you stay encouraged, motivated. And there's this story that I heard someone shared about their support group, which I thought was just so powerful. And I have shared the story here before, but I'll share it again. And it was a support group just like we're talking about. And then one of the people in the support group, she was a waitress who, a single mom, and she lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with her 2 children. And she barely could make ends meet, but her dream was to have her own house. And so based on the amount of money that she made, a number of hours that she was working, and the fact that she had to take care of her kids, is like she couldn't increase her income, and she just didn't see any way possible that she could have a house. And so the people in her group said, well, what step can you take? What is something you can do right now? And so after thinking about it, she was like, well, I guess I could go look at houses. And so they encouraged her to look at houses. And so she did. And she actually found like a house that she really loved that was for rent. However, the house was like the rent was like $900. And she's just like, I don't make anywhere close to $900. a month. So she's just like, now I feel worse than I did because now I see what I would love and I can't, there's no way I can have it. And by the time she finished talking, the group was kind of feeling the same way. Yep. Guess guess it's not possible for you. But then they remember their role. Their role is to hold that everything's possible. And what could she do? What's a step that she could take if she didn't believe that it was impossible? What would she do next? And so after thinking about it, she decided to write a letter to the owner of the apartment, of the house. I mean, I'm sorry, a letter to the owner of the house, and basically saying, if you allow me to stay there for X amount of money, I will, fix your floors up. I'll paint, what is it? I'll varnish your floors. I'll paint the walls. I'll plant a nice garden in the back. Basically, do things to improve the property. And so she didn't hear anything for a while. But then when she did, the person was like, you know what? There were other people who wanted this space, but for some reason, I want you to have it. And so I will do exactly as you said. I will provide you with the supplies to fix up the house. And on a quarterly basis, you have to show me what you've done. And as long as you're completing these tasks, you can stay. And so anyway, she ended up staying a full year because she totally made the house look beautiful. And after a year, they asked her if she wanted to rent to own.
Wow.
Yeah. So she ended up buying the house, and then of course feeling her own power as a result of that. That just, had her launch into other things in her life and feeling powerful in other ways. But I just think it's so beautiful how the group didn't allow her to get stuck in being small.
Mm-hmm.
Just by encouraging, what else can you do?
Right. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great story. Yep. Thank you for that.
All right. So thank you for this conversation on It Takes a Village.
Yeah.
And thank you for being in my village.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for being in my village and allowing me to be a part of yours.
Yeah. All right, guys. So look for your village. Look for who it is in your vicinity that can, be there as a support system, and you can help support them. And even if it's no one close by, there are all kinds of things online. And even if you can't find any group, you always have things you can read and podcasts like this that you can listen to, as well as feel free to reach out to us at any time.
That's right.
All right. So until next time, this is Arvette.
This is Deborah.
All right. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.